Welcome back. The coronavirus outbreak has the Centers for Disease Control warning Americans to prepare for a crisis in the United States. We're going to be speaking with a leading infectious disease doctor momentarily. Dr. Gregory Poland will join us momentarily from the Mayo Clinic. But I want to get your take before we get to Dr. Poland in terms of the seriousness and the severity of that warning from the CDC. Mattie, let's talk about this. This is the comment. We expect we will see community spread in this country, meaning the virus circulating within local communities. This is the director at the CDC. She says that the federal health authorities are expecting a wider spread and the U.S. should be preparing for a potential pandemic. Translate this for us in your view.
I found the CDC press conference yesterday a little perplexing. I mean, the whole point of talking about this as a contagion to the public is to inform and prevent. There wasn't a lot of knowledge being shared on that stage yesterday. It was a lot of I don't want to say fear-mongering, but it was a lot of talk about why this could be a problem without a lot of solutions. And I think that right now, the real issue here for Americans is what they can do to prevent the spread of not just coronavirus, but the flu. I mean, we're in the cold and flu season. Wash your hands, take precautions to cough with your mouth covered. I mean, the things that we learn in kindergarten, everyone could use a refresher right now.
See, the problem is some of these things that we need, like the masks, like the gloves, there's a real shortage. I mean, I said this from the get-go. Yesterday, the FDA came out and said that expect medical product shortages. So, Dagan, as much as we want to say let's prepare, I don't know that we have the tools that we're going to need longer term here for a true pandemic.
And we've got this tips for washing your hands up. And so you had this press conference. This is your front line. This is what you do. And Anthony Fauci was on with Brett Baer last night from the National Institutes of Health. And that's why you try to get out in front of it, to make the population aware of it's coming here. We will do our level best to fight it. And quite frankly, the Trump administration has been doing a lot quietly in terms of moving funds around for the last month or so that they have not gotten credit for. And they did it quietly. And again, it was declared, Secretary Alex Azar of Health and Human Services declared this a public health emergency at the very beginning of this month. And they do that and they start shifting funds and trying to get ready without alarming the public. Right. But it's gotten to the point, particularly with the virus in Italy and community spread in areas like that they needed to come out and say, you need to be prepared.
Yeah, Dr. Poland is going to join us momentarily. And one thing I know that he's going to say, it's not just washing your hands. This is a very critical thing that you just mentioned. And we had some tips in terms of washing your hands. You think it's just a simple thing and very straightforward. It's actually not, because most people wash their hands quickly and they don't actually do it effectively enough. But there's more than this, like prescription drugs, making sure you have everything that you need should things turn much more negative, Mitch.
We were talking about masks. So many, if not most of the masks are manufactured in China, and they're not leaving the country. So we're on the verge of a global shortage of those masks. And the masks seem to be everybody's first line of defense when they travel, when they're in crowds.
They're not foolproof.
And none of this is foolproof if you don't take the most simplest precautions. That's my point.
Yeah,
the CDC needs to not have this air of inevitability that we're going to be in the middle of a pandemic here. They need to educate Americans that you're all responsible for keeping yourself safe.
But on the flip side, if they didn't say anything, and then when cases start popping up unexpectedly in major cities, which is exactly what happened in Italy, when all of a sudden it seemed like overnight there were 11 cities under quarantine and the Venice Carnival got canceled. That's what they're trying to prevent here in the United States.
Well, before we take a break, I just want to look at these markets, because you got some serious things happening with the markets as well. $1.7 trillion wiped out in market value in the last 2 days. Dow Industrials this morning down 82 points. Can we look at the 10-year for a second? Because the top story in the news segment of the Journal this morning is that the yield on the benchmark 10-year Treasury note fell to an all-time low amid the worries around coronavirus. This is the worry that coronavirus is going to seriously disrupt the global economy. So we've got rates moving even lower than before. Quick break, and then we've got Dr. Poland on the line in the next block. We are staying on the coronavirus concerns, why one American city is now under a state of emergency, coming up. And then chaos in Charleston last night. We'll recap all the highlights and the lowlights from last night's Democratic debate. Stay with us. Back in a minute.
Current eligible GM lessees get this low-mileage lease on this 2020 Cadillac CT5 for around $399 per month.
This is Charlie.
Hi.
This is Charlie's truck, Hank. Together, they're Charlie's Landscaping.
5 years and counting.
Charlie knows plants, but not much about hiring people to plant them.
Rules, rules, rules.
So she counts on LegalZoom for help with a lot of the legal stuff that's part of running a business.
I have a legal question. They have a legal answer.
She means we helped her incorporate and learn the ins and outs of hiring help. So Charlie and Hank can get back to beautifying yards.
Somebody needs to.